everyone, welcome to My Flow Tactics. My name is Tatyana Grippaldi and I'm standing in for Tshepo. Today we're going to be interviewing Kalon and asking him some questions. Hey guys, so today we're talking to Kalon. Tell us about yourself.
Wow, where do I start? Hi guys, my name is Kalon Badenhorst. I was born in Durban, but I grew up here in Johannesburg. I'm a dancer. That's probably quite obvious. I'm a dancer and an actor and a singer, and I've been performing since the age of 12-ish, performing, competing a bit younger, and started dancing when I was around 10. And yeah, at the moment I'm working overseas in Europe, and I am currently in Magic Mike Live in Berlin. I play the role of Mike, the lead role, and I've been lucky enough to have some other awesome jobs in my career leading up to that, and hopefully we can talk about some of those along the way. But yeah, that's me. I'd like to say that I'm quite a versatile dancer. I try to go and learn as many styles as possible and take them on and just, really learn respect for as many styles as possible as well. Dance is dance, I feel like it transcends styles, and it helps if you know how to do those styles. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Cool, nice. Okay, so what inspired you to become a dancer?
Wow, okay, so really what inspired me was MTV and Chris Brown and You Got Served and Step Up. I mean, You Got Served was really big when I kind of started dancing around the living room at home. And one day one of my mom's friends was around and I was dancing for everyone in the lounge, and they were like, there's a studio just up the road, like if you want to go check it out. And I went and checked it out, and then the rest is history, I guess.
Cool. And how did you get into modeling and singing and acting?
So I feel like that kind of just goes with the territory of being in this industry. You meet different people and you're around loads of different people with varied talents, and you kind of cross over into various art forms and those different genres. So like modeling and stuff kind of came around because you know someone who's good with like videography, or someone who's a photographer, or someone who's going down that route, and dancing is such a cool thing to photograph, so that kind of pushed me into modeling a little bit. And then acting and singing, I've always loved acting. Acting's kind of like the backup, eventually you can't dance forever. I'd love to be able to dance forever, but acting's always been like one of my next favorite things to do. And singing kind of came along with everything else because I wanted to be as versatile as a performer as possible, to have as many opportunities as possible. And obviously just growing up, everyone sits in the car and sings along to whatever music is playing, and for me, it's part of my industry, and it's something that might help me cross over into acting one day through musical theatre kind of jobs. I grew up watching musicals with my mom, like Grease and Footloose and all of them, like Mamma Mia was The Sound of Music. So yeah, it just came with the territory for me, really. My granddad's a musician. My dad's dad, he's a musician, and he has been his whole life, and maybe it comes a little bit from there, the singing side, but yeah.
Cool. I think it also helps each other out, like the singing helps with the dancing and the modeling.
Exactly.
So how often do you train?
So training for me has kind of changed over the years. When I started out dancing, I only did a style or two, so it was only maybe a couple hours a week, a couple classes a week. And then once I got more into dance, and after I did South Africa's Got Talent when I was around 12, I kind of knew, okay, this is what I want to do, this is the industry I want to be in. So I devoted a lot of my time to dancing and training, and I was competing a lot during my teenage years, and that was very taxing in terms of time commitment. So yeah, I would train every day almost after school. I'd finish school, go train, probably get home from training at around 9 o'clock at night, during the week, and then we'd have competitions on the weekend, and if you don't have competitions, you're probably training for a couple hours during the weekend. So during those kind of formative years, throughout my teenage years when I was competing a lot, I trained very, very hard and very, very often, just because of the amount of styles I was doing as well, with Latin and contemporary, jazz, modern, ballet, hip-hop, breaking, show dance, like freestyle, slow dance, everything was kind of all in there. So my weeks were jam-packed when I was still here, when I was living here. So about when I was 18, I left in 2016. So up until then, it was a crazy amount of training, and hopefully that's what's paying off now. It seems to be doing quite well, and I'm really glad that I put in that time. Since I've been in Europe, I trained quite a lot when I was in London, when I first got there, before I got my first job. And then once you are working, the training kind of switches up a bit, because you spend a lot of time, especially during rehearsals. You probably spend about 6 to 8 hours a day rehearsing for a month or two, every day, usually with one day off. So that's in itself is a lot of training, and then on top of that, you kind of need to keep yourself, you need to know what you have to do for yourself to keep yourself in shape and to keep yourself in check, depending on what styles the show requires from you, and trying to keep your other styles going while you're doing that. And then during the show, you're probably at the theatre on a single show day for about 5 hours, maybe more, so you got to get there, warm up, make sure you're kind of training and keeping yourself warm and prepared throughout the show. And then on a double show day, it can be up to, 10, 12 hours that you're there. You can be there like almost all day, it feels like. And yeah, so that kind of takes over your training time, but I've always managed to make time to go to the gym, just to keep my body in check, keep my body in shape, make sure you absolutely warm up and all of that, beforehand, and try and keep up with the other styles. With some of the shows that I've done, especially the show that I'm doing now at the moment, it's quite nice that a lot of the shows take place in the evening, so I have the day to kind of like go to gym, keep my other styles going, go to gymnastics, try and keep moving forward, keep pushing, because you never stop learning, you never stop growing. So yeah, just kind of keep trying to do it. I'm still figuring it out, figuring my way through it at the moment. Obviously, with everything that's going on with COVID, it's been a bit of a bump in the road in some ways, but in other ways, it's given me time to go back to basics and relearn and just go over a whole bunch of stuff to make sure that I stay on top of my game as much as possible.
And is it quite, let's say, tiring or taxing on your body with all the performances? Is it really difficult, or do you find it manageable?
I mean, for me personally, it's something I've been training for most of my life, so it is manageable. Obviously, I'm still quite young, so I always get it with, you get some of the older dancers that are like, oh, you're fine now, but just wait, you can get away with not doing certain things, and with doing certain things that you can get away with when you're a bit younger, but a bit older, you need to think about it a bit more. So yeah, it can be really taxing and demanding at times, but it's so much more rewarding than it is, taxing and demanding. So I don't know, you kind of weigh it up, and I mean, every show that I've done, there's always a possibility of getting an injury or certain things. It's just how you look after your body and take care of it, and it really shows. The people who can keep going and keep pushing through the shows, those are the people who take care of their bodies. And some of the youngsters manage to get by without doing it as much, but in the long run, it comes back to bite you. So that's me just trying to figure out my way through it and just try to make sure that I keep going and keep safe. And you got to take our body as our tool, our body as our work as dancers. So you got to kind of take care of it when you can. I mean, obviously work hard, play hard, but yeah.
Cool. And who has been the most influential person in your career?
Oh, okay, that's a really hard one. That is a really hard one, because there's been so many people, along the journey from when I first started dancing to where I am now, I can't really credit just one person. I mean, if I had to credit one person, I'd probably say my mom, you know, because she was the one driving me around and getting me to all the dance classes and making all of this possible, you know. And but even then, it was my dad as well, you know. It's a team effort. I feel like, I don't know, they say a village raises a child, you know, kind of thing. So it's kind of like that. Not one person can necessarily make an artist. There's been so many influential people, like so many teachers, so many choreographers, so many people, like mentors who have took me under their wing and taught me so much. I feel like you can learn so much from everyone anyway, you know, like it doesn't matter if they're a better dancer or they're a teacher or they're a singer or they're an actor or anything. So I don't know, it's really hard to choose one person that's been like the most influential, but I've had a lot of influential people and we can sit here and name them and it'll take us probably about 15 minutes just to name them, you know, so it's hard. I can't start naming everyone right now, but most of you know who you are. I try to let people know that I really appreciate them and I wouldn't be where I am without them. A lot of people in South Africa and a good handful of people overseas already, you know, so yeah. Thank you to all you people out there that have been a part of my journey. I wouldn't be where I am without you.
Name a local and international performer that inspires you.
There are many. Wow, okay. There's a big handful. I mean, a lot of the people that I've been inspired by in my journey overseas, you know, in Europe, and in the States have been choreographers, you know, like for the shows that I've been doing, but a lot of other people have been dancers on the shows that I've been doing. I mean, I can name probably at least 2 people in every show that I've done so far, and that's also going to take a while. I don't know, I can say Channing Tatum is like, he's my boss man at the moment, and he's such an awesome guy. I got really lucky that I got to meet him, and that was huge for me. Obviously, like I said, one of the things that inspired me dancing in my very, very early years was Step Up. You know, Step Up came out and I was like, okay, cool, there's a white guy that can dance and he's doing his thing, and you know, that kind of pushed me a lot to think that, you know, if he can do it, I can do it. Even this little white boy from South Africa is like, all right, let's go. Yeah, and then local, wow, geez, so many people local as well. It's really hard to name one. It's so hard, like this is a really like tough question. I mean, I can just start naming names, but then I'm gonna like end up not having so many people on the list. I mean, Hope Maimani, we'd chuck his name in there, like for sure, but then I can't just say Hope without saying Quintus and Anouk and Rudy and Craig Arnolds and so many others like Liam. Absolutely, almost everyone that I've worked with has inspired me in one way or another. And there's just too many to really get through. So that's like I said, that's a tough question for me.
What do you have going on at the moment and where can we find you?
Okay, at the moment, not much. As I'm sure everyone is in a bit of the same boat at the moment. But I will be returning to my role as Mike in Magic Mike Live in Berlin in the near future, hopefully. But I will definitely be returning to that. So if anyone's in Berlin, you know, hit me up. We'll definitely see you there. Got hopefully a few promo things leading up to that for the show, and not much else is going on for me at the moment. But let's see. Let's get through this lockdown. Let's get through this COVID situation, and hopefully there'll be a lot more coming in the future. I'm a very optimistic person. I'd like to think I try to stay positive, so I think there will be things coming, and other than that, just keep pushing, keep training on the down low, keep doing my thing, and that's kind of it.
Cool. Can you tell us a bit about your experience working with Channing Tatum?
Of course I can. So with the role that I'm in Magic Mike in Berlin, I was flown out with 2 of the female MCs and a German translator that helped us move everything over into German, because everything's in German in the script in Berlin, which is interesting. to say the least. But I enjoyed it. I loved it. But yeah, so Channing, we went out to LA. He is obviously the creator of the show, and he directs it as well. So we mainly flew out to have a look at script things to do with the script, especially with the translation and with the acting stuff, you know. So, and also to meet our boss. And for me, it was insane. Like it was absolutely. It feels like a dream. That was my first time in the States, and it was crazy for me. So we kind of we all got there. The Berlin team got there, and we all drove to the office, and we were like, oh, we don't really want to park in the driveway because like we don't want to park anyone in and get in trouble or whatever. So we like decided to park down the road, and we all like walk up, and we're like, is this the right place? We're not really sure. And I'm like walking in front, and I was like, I don't know. I'm speaking to people. Is it the right place? And Channing like jumps out of his pickup truck and is like, yo, I think you're in the right place. And I was like, okay, cool. Like just, and I'm like, oh yeah, what's up? And he was like, oh hi, he's saying hi to people, and he said hello to me, and I was like, oh, what's up? You know, you're gonna try, like, cool, be chill. This dude's like massive in my mind, you know, like this massive moment and experience, and then, you know, he's just a really cool, like normal dude, man. It's so crazy. Like he's such a genuine, nice guy. I mean, you can tell that just by the show that he's put together. You know, one of the main things in the show is everyone has to have a good relationship with their mom. Like that's one of their main things, because the show is all about respecting women and having fun and like, you know, all of that. And he just like embodies that as well. He's just such an awesome person, such a genuine human being. He's taller than I expected him to be as well. So I was like, yo, okay, what's up? And then that was like mind-boggling for me. We had 2 days of meetings to go over the script and go over some of the acting and stuff. And I was sat at like this big wooden round table, and I was sat across from him the whole of the first day, and I was just like, wow, you know. On the inside, you're just like in awe, but on the outside, you kind of like act cool, play it down. You're there to do a job at the end of the day, and that's what we did. We got through it and did the work, and then, you know, just got to sit there and chat with him and kind of get a little bit more familiar and know who I'm working for, and he knows who's working for him. And yeah, I mean, it was so crazy because it was like such an awe-struck moment, you know. And then after that, you kind of just realize that he's just a normal human being, and he's a great guy, and you know, I feel very lucky to be working for him at the moment. Amazing. And the other thing that's crazy for me is the choreography team is made up of Alison Falk, Teresa Espinoza, and Luke Broadlick. Alison Falk and Teresa Espinoza were both in You Got Served, you know, so like that was crazy for me as well. Also a massive influence. I mean, and Luke Broadlick is just mental. So I mean, to be sat at a table with those people, yeah, that was a big moment for me, and hopefully we keep moving forward from that, moving up, onwards and upwards.
This is my last question for you. How does the dance scene differ from here compared to overseas?
Okay, so there's quite a few differences. I mean, and I personally think it's good and bad. You know, I think there's pros and cons in everything. So over there, in terms of training, you know, like during workshops and stuff like that, and even just normal dance training, dance classes, the way they run their studios is slightly different. You know, studios are more of an open space. No one necessarily belongs to a studio. Maybe a little bit for competing, but especially in like London, you've got big studios like Studio 68, Pineapple, and Bass, and they just host classes. So they'll just have choreographers that come in and teach every week, and maybe they'll host some guest teachers or choreographers that come in, and so it's set up slightly differently. Where a lot of the studios here, if you go and learn something at a studio, you kind of belong to that studio, which I kind of understand in terms of competing, but I also don't understand it in terms of growing as dancers and growing the industry. I don't think it necessarily makes sense. Especially after seeing what went on there and with how I trained. You know, I tried to train a lot. I wanted to get the best from the best teacher I could possibly find, so I wouldn't necessarily just stay at one studio for all the different styles that I was doing. Like I'd go to ballet for somewhere, I'd do hip hop somewhere else, I'd do freestyle and slow dance somewhere, and then show dance and jazz and modern, contemporary somewhere else. You know, you kind of, and that's the difference between the studios here and the studios over there. There are some studios that are pure like competitive studios that people belong to over there. I don't see it now that I'm in the actual professional industry. Maybe you see it more when you're in the competitive industry, like when I was over there for freestyle and slow dance world champs, as well as I think I did 2 dance world cups over there in jazz and modern, or jazz and contemporary. And you can kind of see it a bit more when it's like that. But outside of that, you know, they just have these big studios that really focus on just anyone can come in and learn and take those classes and do those things. And the reason those classes all look so full is that's partly it, but I think it's also because the industry is super saturated over there. There's more people, you know, then there's a lot more dance teachers and studios available as well, and there's loads of dance colleges. You know, you can study dance and art as a tertiary education over there, especially in the UK. So there's a lot of avenues feeding into the industry there that makes it super saturated, and that's why things look full most of the time. Also in terms of choreographers, everyone is more, like I said, it's more of a personal journey than a studio journey. So if someone's coming to teach a workshop, if it's like a big choreographer, or even if it's not a big choreographer, there's a bit more of an understanding that you can learn from everyone there. So people will go to the workshops because that's a good dancer, good choreographer, good teacher, and that's the reason that they'll go there, you know. So that's the biggest difference for me is the saturation in the industry. So there's so many people in the industry there, and so many opportunities to go to this class and that class and do this thing and that thing, and so much support I mean, it can be cliquey at times, you know, but I think it's a lot more cliquey and a lot more everyone wants to keep their own thing and stay separate from other people over here. Also, I think people are slowly realizing it helps that people go to dance colleges there and go to dance, like university type things there, because they learn a whole bunch of different styles. You're forced to do the different styles, and also to be in the industry there, it helps to know more than just one style. It helps to be versatile. Obviously, it's good to have your own thing that you're the best, that you feel like is your best style, but it's really good to know other styles, and that's why people try to keep going and keep learning and keep training other things. And also, once you're in the industry, once you're doing jobs, just because you're booked now doesn't mean you're going to be booked next month, doesn't mean you're going to be booked after the contract that you're in finishes. So it is quite important to stay on top of it. And so if there's good workshops going on and I can make it to the workshop, I will be there. Obviously, the work that you're doing can kind of hinder that. You know, if you have to be at work at a certain time and they're teaching workshops in the evening, and I've got a show in the evening, it's not an easy thing to do. But you try as much as possible where you can. That's why at the moment, with the lockdown, I mean, online classes was a great thing, and also they slowly started opening up studios, but they're closing down again now in Europe for another little bit. So it's good to get the training in then. But yeah, for me the biggest thing is saturation of the industry. And like I said, pros and cons. I feel like growing up in South Africa and learning to dance in South Africa, because it's not as saturated, I got a lot more opportunity to find who I was as a dancer instead of having to go and take everyone else's class, feeling like I have to go and take a million people's classes and try and be like someone else. I feel like it really helped mold me and help me figure out who I am as a dancer and who I am as a person and my style of doing this. And because you have that little bit of space to explore and to find yourself, as opposed to just having to get to everyone's classes all the time and not really having that space to explore and do your own thing, you know? But yeah, that's the biggest thing.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. It's been awesome to be here. And if you guys want to find me on Instagram and Twitter, I'm not really on Twitter much, but Instagram for sure, and Facebook. So Facebook is Kalon Badenhorst or Kalon B, and Instagram is KalonB_SA.
Thank you so much for watching. I want to thank Kalon for coming and being with us today, and also a thank you to Dance Zone International for letting us use their space. If you want to get in touch with us, you can contact us on Instagram. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, Thank you for watching. My name is Tatyana Grippaldi and this is my flow tactics. Today...
I think you don't have to say.
Kalon. It's like Alan, but with a K.
Today we're going to be interviewing Kalon. Stay tuned.
Wow, okay, so I keep saying wow at the beginning of everything. Do you want to answer that one more time? So I don't say wow at the beginning of everything. Okay, stop.
Okay.
Backtrack.
Okay, we'll start over. Hey everyone, my name is Tatyana Grippaldi and welcome. Okay.